Hello and welcome to this week's episode of CBTV. Right across the nation, it seems that the Australian Greens are faltering under increased scrutiny. Last month they lost 3 of their 4 members in the ACT Legislative Assembly election. They also polled badly in the New South Wales local government polls and the Northern Territory election. Federally too, the Greens are struggling with the intense demands placed on them as part of their role in the Labor-Greens alliance. And at the Australian Greens National Conference on the weekend, leader Christine Milne stated that it had been quite difficult to get our message out. Well, maybe that has something to do with the fact they've been spending too much time talking about how they could explain their policies to aliens. No, unfortunately, I'm not joking. During a recent planning day, New South Wales Greens MPs were told to imagine they were talking with aliens to summarise their policies. Well, it looks like the aliens might have finally got back to them. According to media reports, the Greens may be trying to move away from some of their more controversial policies. We'd all be wise to wait and see if they act on this. I personally remain sceptical about the willingness of this left-wing party to depart from their extreme policy agenda. This is, after all, a party that has advocated for an anything-goes open border policy. It supports handing out heroin to registered users and considers radical philosopher and former Greens Party candidate Peter Singer as their spiritual godfather. The Greens have also been warning of imminent climate change catastrophe for several decades. Clearly, the Green Dictionary must define imminent as being the year after next, because none of their alarmist claims have proved accurate. Their former leader, Bob Brown, even blamed the coal companies for the Queensland floods. And who can forget his speech to his fellow Earthians, speaking of his desire for us to hand over our national sovereignty and be ruled by a global parliament. With nations in Europe having enough trouble under a European parliament, I wonder how Bob Brown realistically thinks that a global government would be in any way successful. But that's the problem. The Greens aren't grounded in the real world. They really are on another planet, which may explain why they spend their party conferences talking to aliens. This is Cory Bernardi. You're watching CBTV.